In the beginning, God created. But what was he doing before that? I mean, God is eternal. God is timeless. So what does it mean to have a God before there was time? It's a question that touches on the heart of divine eternity, the nature of time, and the mystery of God's being. Theologians have discussed this from Augustine to Aquinas. It's a question that has stirred minds to contemplate not only what God does, but who he is. What are the implications of God's immutability? And what does the Bible have to say? Let's take a look.
Attention, bargain shoppers.
So what was God up to before creation? We look at Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This indicates that time itself began with creation. Similarly, we have Psalm 92, which tells us, "Before the mountains were born, you brought forth the whole world. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God." And this verse affirms God's eternal existence prior to creation. So we know that God was around. So the doctrine of divine eternity asserts that God is not bound by time. He is eternus, which means he existed wholly and simultaneously outside of time. In contrast, creation is considered to be temporalis, bound to the flow of past, present, and future. So this distinction is crucial. Asking what God was doing before creation assumes that time also existed prior to creation. But God created time. So Thomas Aquinas addresses this. He states that God is eternal because he is unchanging. And time, by contrast, is a measure of change. Therefore, God's actions before creation cannot be understood in terms of sequential activities. Now, this might get a little heady, but if we think about Einstein's concept of spacetime, Einstein's theory of relativity changed everything because we used to perceive space and time as separate entities. However, Einstein showed that space and time are intrinsically linked. We know this because the presence of mass and energy can warp time, can bend that space-time fabric, affecting how time flows and how distances are measured. So objects move through space-time, not just through space or time independently. So what does all this mean? Well, it means that without space, there can be no motion, no change, and hence, no measure of time. So without space, you don't have time. Anything outside of the universe, anything before there was space, didn't have time. Time didn't exist before space existed. But okay, so getting back to theology. There are two essential attributes to God: his immutability and his aseity. Immutability means that God does not change. We see this in Malachi 3:6. I, the Lord, do not change. And aseity means that God is self-existent. He needs nothing outside of himself. He doesn't require anything for being or for fulfillment. God famously describes himself this way in Exodus 3:14. God said to Moses, "I am who I am." So you got theologians like Jonathan Edwards and Karl Barth, and they emphasize that creation flows from God's love, not from compulsion or from boredom. Thus, God did not have to create. He chose to create. And this reflects his love and his grace. And as Ephesians 1:4-5 puts it, he chose us in him before the foundation of the world, according to the good pleasure of his will. So the question, what was God doing before creation? We know that God existed outside of time. He existed without need, in perfect sufficiency. He wasn't waiting for anything. He wasn't inactive. He was eternally active in his own being, knowledge, and love. So that was a little bit of a headier video, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Also, please feel free to like and subscribe. It does help out the channel. I'll leave the verses used today in the description. My name is Adam. This is Bargain Bin Theology, and remember, you get what you pay for.